I've been thinking, how do the laws get found when they don't know where to go? And I've been shaking, not many more twists and turns before I find the road. And I've been hoping for sunrise. I heard the dawn of hope can even light the way home. Just give me sunrise. There is a myth
Welcome to the
that
Purpose
unites
Podcast
us
of Dr. Jazz, where I'm your host, Dr. Jazz, and we journey to purpose together. Welcome to season 4. I keep saying that on every episode, but I'm just so excited to be on season 4 of the Purpose Podcast. And as you know from episodes 1 and 2, we are on a collegiate tour right now. So this is season 3 of our collegiate tour featuring Miss Dymaund Farmer. I'm going to introduce her. Hey. I'm going to introduce her, and then we're going to jump right into the podcast. And Diamond is one of my babies. I just want y'all to know. She grown. She ain't no baby, but she one of my babies. Okay. Forever. Diamond Farmer is a recent college graduate from Xavier University of Louisiana, my
Ex
alma
you?
mater. I was going to say the real XU. No one says that.
Ex you, girl. Just ex you.
XU. I don't know where that came from. It came from the real XU, but
Yeah, but we don't. It's well, I guess we are a real ex you because the other ex Xavier is in Ohio.
which people always get us mixed up with.
So,
We are not them. They always start talking to me about basketball, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
uh,
So let's start over. I'm just so hyped because Xavier is in the house. Okay. All right. Diamond Farmer is a recent college graduate from the Xavier University of Louisiana and now a graduate student at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine in Georgia. When she's not being a scholar, Diamond enjoys creating graphic designs and content, spending time with friends, family, and her dog, and relaxing. Welcome, Diamond.
Hi, thank you so much.
I'm
I'm
so
so
excited
excited
to
to
have
be
you here. I met Diamond when I was an administrator at Thrive Christian Academy in Atlanta, Georgia, and you were in high school when I was there. Yeah, you were in high school when I was there. I
It
think
was
you
like
were the
10th grade year.
yeah, and I think you were my first graduating class.
Mm-hmm. We are. I
Yeah.
grew up valedictorian.
Yeah. Okay. You let us know. So Diamond was the valedictorian, the first high school graduated class up by Christian Academy. And this is my baby, okay? She went to Xavier. She this is my child, even though she's grown. Okay, so let's get started because the love I have for you is exuding through the Zoom call. All right, anyway, so as you all know, the first question is always the same, and it is what does purpose mean to you? So, what does purpose mean to you, Diamond?
To me, purpose is like having a sense of direction in life, just knowing where you want to go with your life and like how you can use this direction to guide other people or mobilize up the social ladder. It's just like the way like you navigate through life and your choices and decisions and such.
Oh, that's a good added point. Like so do you think that your choices add to your purpose or your choices should be like in a line with their purpose? I just like that you use the word choices. So what do you elaborate on that part?
Um, your choices do align with your purposes. Like for me, for instance, I want to be a doctor.
Mhm.
I wouldn't choose to go to art school
Right.
over going to medical school. So like for me, it's like you would choose choices that align with your purpose, but you also get like those unexpected choices that come across like in life that you have to make at the spur of the moment. And it also has to go with like your morals and values and what you think about in life and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So Diamond has wanted to be a doctor since I've met her. So I'm excited that she is on the route to doing that. So I'm excited for her. But so how did you get there? Like how did you get to I want to be a doctor and these are now the choices because you've done internships and you've applied to different grants and fellowships like how did you even get there and to know that I need to do these things to become a doctor?
Well, I think so. If you would have asked 10-year-old me what I wanted to be in life, I would have said lawyer, 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 lawyer. Well, it wasn't until like 2016, 2015, my grandfather got ALS. So that's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And so with that, I was in 8th grade. So I ended up doing 8th grade year online so that I could be at home with him. And so I spent he got diagnosed in December of 2015. I spent about 7 months with him. Just every day at home, making sure he ate. Like we was making organic, we was making almond milk from scratch, making sure he had his medicine, the hospital trips, all that good stuff. And so I was just like, I like to care for people. And like I'm very a curious person. Like when he had got diagnosed with ALS, I was like, what is ALS? I just remember the ice bath challenge or whatever it was called. And so it was just very like enlightening. And so then from there, when he passed away, I was just like, there's more than life like to figure. I need to figure this out. Like it for me, it was a personal goal of trying to figure out how to stop other people from going what we went through, because we was given 2.5 years and we only made it to July of 2016 after his diagnosis. So it was just like, yeah, I gotta do this. So then when I decided I wanted to embark upon medicine, like I have to be thankful for my support system, like Miss Monica, for instance, getting me enrolled over there at GMC so I could do the dual enrollment. And you as well, like just making sure I was at class every day. And when I wasn't at class, making sure the work was getting done. And then like even like taking us down to Xavier, those enrichment trips that we went on, and hearing that this is like, I never heard of Xavier until we went to New Orleans. So for me, it was like,
I ain't never talked to you about it.
no, you never told me about Xavier.
Oh, that's my school disservice.
I had never heard about Xavier until we went to New Orleans.
I don't believe that.
When I first met you, you told me you graduated from Baylor.
I did graduate from Baylor.
You did. I remember that.
But I also graduated from the Xavier University.
The Xavier. So yeah, when we went to Xavier and we took that tour, and it was just like, we produce the most Black doctors in America. I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I went home and I applied and I prayed and I cried and I was like, I just want to get into Xavier. And Miss Monica was pushing me for Howard. And I applied when I did undergrad, I applied to like 40 schools.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't know, I got them for free. When you get the free application, you just apply.
Yeah, you just apply everything. Yeah.
So I had 40 schools. I think I got into like 34. And so Xavier was one of those 34. And when I at first I was like a little deterred because they only offered me $9,000 a year. So I was like, that's a lot. I gotta take out because it's $44,000 a year. And then they came back after I graduated and they offered me the full ride scholarship because of the valedictorian. So yeah, I just kind of went down to Xavier. Being at Xavier, I crossed paths with a lot of people who was like-minded. Like my friend group from freshman year, I'm so proud of them. But like my best friend Nicole, she just started at Baylor College of Medicine as an MS1. My other friend Reagan, even though like Reagan is not pre-med, she starts at Texas Tech Law School this year. So I'm just like, when you get surrounded by people who are also Black and want to be successful, it just pushes that drive in you. And then the resources we had available at Xavier was also really good for us, like the pre-med office, Miss QV, and all those resources in there, that the tutoring, the resource centers, everybody just pushed for us to go, like the internship list and like those internships that I did get to do and experience, and the shadowing experiences. It all just pushed my job to become a doctor even more. And so now I'm here, just trying to get there.
Yeah, and you will get there. Which is so crazy that I never talked to you about Xavier. I don't understand. I don't believe this. Y'all, this is fake news. Okay? I don't care what Diamond say. What you say?
Fake news.
It is. It's fake news. I refuse to believe it. But those resources at Xavier, I also remember being pushed towards. I always say I wouldn't have gotten a PhD if it wasn't for the administrative staff at Xavier, right? I always say that. But you have to make choices to visit the office, right? There are people at Xavier that don't visit the office, and they don't go talk to their professors, and they don't do whatever. So how did you just know I need to go to this office and I need to stick with it? Like, what? Because there are people that you were at school with that want to be doctors, quote unquote, but didn't do the work. So what made you decide, like, no, I need to do the work. I need to go see the people, like that?
Okay, so this is gonna be completely honest. When
Okay.
I first got to Xavier and they would send out those pre-med emails, I would look at my phone, I would go, and keep it going. I wouldn't even look at the
Mm-hmm.
pre-med emails until like I think they had said we had to start doing our pre-med meetings. So, like, we have a pre-med meeting every year.
Mm-hmm.
And that my freshman year at Xavier was very humbling. When you come in from being like the top at your high school and valedictorian, everybody at Xavier is valedictorian. Everybody was on
Mm-hmm.
top. So it's very like humbling because like I was struggling really bad, like having to go from not having to study as much to having like to study every day. My first semester at Xavier, I got a 2.7 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
And so that set me back
I
tremendously
remember.
compared to all my other classmates because I just wasn't motivated. And I'm not sure if it was like, I'm also a big family person, and not having like my support system around was very hard to me. So I was flying home every chance I got. Every time I said
Mm-hmm.
hurricane, I was on a plane. Every time I said rain, on a plane. Every time I could, I would go home. So I had to just be able to like realize like you're not gonna make it anywhere in this school if you do not lock in. Stop being prideful, because a good part of my issue was that I thought I could not ask for help. And so I tell my friends this all the time. There is nothing wrong with going to office hours and saying, I'm struggling, I do not understand, and I need help. Like, it's nothing wrong with that at all. And for me, it took me having to like sit there. I looked at my final grades. I got the email saying I'm in jeopardy of losing my scholarship. My family telling we cannot pay for you to go to school there. So if you lose that scholarship, you're coming home and you're going to Georgia State. So it was just like I had to get it together. I had to figure it out. And so second semester, freshman year, I came back and got a 4.0 GPA.
Come on.
I had to make things work. So like that was me going to office hours, me saying I don't understand, me going into tutoring, me asking my friends, did y'all understand the lesson today? And just being like putting my pride to the side. That I think that was my biggest lesson at Xavier, was not being so prideful, but also not being pretentious. Everybody there has been in your shoes. Everybody has been the valedictorian, the smallest person in the class. It's just a bunch of you at this point in one school. So for me, utilizing those resources made a big difference. And then like another thing was incentives. When you do stuff at Xavier for the pre-med office, you get a t-shirt. I love free t-shirts. So for me, it was like, okay, I do all my pre-med meetings. I get the Honor Corps t-shirt that you get to rock if you finish all your meetings.
Yeah.
I did all my meetings. Then I had to turn my personal statements and my PS forms, my secondary forms. And so just making sure I got all of that done and everything, just because they want to help me succeed and stay on track and be on top. And even now that I'm like still like applying to med school this next cycle, they're still, reaching out to me, making sure I have everything good and ready to go.
Oh, I didn't know that. So they followed you even after graduation.
Yeah, so if you go to Xavier and you didn't apply the year you graduate, you can email them and say I'm gonna apply with this class cycle, and they'll get you on track.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. And I'm glad that you were honest about what happened your first semester, your freshman year, because I think a lot of people listening will look at you and say, no, it makes sense that she's about to be a doctor. You know, she was valedictorian, blah, blah, blah. But no, I almost lost my scholarship, like, and I think people need to hear that. And I almost lost my scholarship at Xavier too. And my mama said, you're coming home. She said the
And
same exact thing.
I think for me, it was also like I had friends who also like actually lost their scholarships. And I was
Mm,
like, I saw what they went through. They was trying to like struggle to find the money to look for school, like pay for school. I had a few friends who just transferred to their home schools. They had to move back home and everything. I was just like, that's not for me. I know I will not grow at home.
yeah.
And I need to be somewhere where they're producing Black doctors. I'm in a different city and they about business down here. And so I was like, let me get my butt together and stay at Xavier.
I like that there was something innate in you that was like, no, this is the place for me, and that fight to being there. Because a lot of times, not a lot of times, I can see people knowing something is their purpose, but not fighting to stay there. So what made you click in? Was it the scholarship, or was it like, no, what made you click in?
Well, for one, it was like a sense of purpose and self. Like I was able to
Mm,
figure out who I am and how to grow individually without my family and their like, discourse or whatever we have to say. Like, like I think my best advice I got from Miss Monica was, you don't have to answer that phone every time they call. You do not have to answer. So it was like times where I would just need to figure stuff out by myself and navigate through life independently to grow. And then like the scholarship also played a big role in it. If I kept my scholarship, I didn't have to come home.
Yeah.
And so I was, because at home, for me personally, I think that home was a distraction for me. When I come home, my family wants to do this, they want to do that. I have friends here, they want to do this, they want to do that. It just wasn't nothing good like for me at home. And I know it also taught me a lesson of like having to like separate hometown friends with Xavier friends, because like my Xavier friends kind of had like that same motivation as me. Like, they understood we all had a common goal. And so it was just kind of like very motivating for me to just have those type of people around and make sure I stayed on track.
I love that. So because you keep talking about people with common goals and because I understand that too, being a Xavier. Like everybody was trying to go to grad school, everybody was trying to be the best. And I also remember being humbled. I remember my freshman year being like, you are a dummy. Okay. Like, and I also graduated, like, I wasn't the valedictorian, but like near the top of my class as well. And wasn't gifted and talented, blah, blah, blah. It's not about me. But I remember going to Xavier being like, baby, you like kind of smart. You not smart.
Yeah.
Like, and what that meant for me. And I still didn't learn how to study though. That was
Oh yeah, I've locked my study habits completely down. Like I get down when it comes to studying now.
I think even in grad school I had to study for like 2 tests. Rest of my grad school was more paper based, but like my final exam, I had a final exam in one class and my exam to finish the thing. I was struggling then, and that was like 7 years after 5 years after Xavier. So anyway, but it's not about me. You're talking about this community that you created. How did this community like push or pull you towards your purpose? And did you have to push and pull other people? Like, what was it? Because you keep talking about it. So like these people must be important. Talk about the importance of these people.
I like my friend group at Xavier, I have to give them their props. If it wasn't for certain people, and like so all my friends are very different people, but they all have a common goal. They want to go into healthcare, or they want to be a lawyer, or they want to help the community in some way. And so like I just think that when I because you don't select friends. I don't think you select friends. I think you kind of just find them. They just kind of appear. But when we all stuck together, I think us together is a really strong bond. And so like for instance, my first friend Xavier, her name was Nicole. Nicole is like I would consider one of my best friends, personal therapist, everything. And so she's like I mentioned before, she's at Baylor College of Medicine. And Nicole really was a good anchor for me, I would say. And she also has a really good support system behind her. And I think it's also important when y'all's friends, families also speaking to you as well, because her support system was very amazing to me as well. And so was like, it was reciprocative. So like they both was awesome and amazing. Like Nicole, when I didn't understand anything, I could go to Nicole and she could explain it to the best of her ability, or she'll have like notes for it or anything. She just was like very advanced in it. And she did very well at Xavier. She graduated, I think, like 3.9 GPA. She did really good on her MCAT. And so and then she did the EAP. So she got into Baylor she got into Baylor sophomore year when we was at Xavier. So it was like a guaranteed acceptance. And so so she did the thing at Xavier. So I was really proud of her. My friend Reagan was very supportive as well. Like she's at Texas Tech right now doing her first year of law school. So she starts this year. Yeah, she starts this year. I think all those two together was like my first two friends at Xavier, and like us still sticking together and making sure we was all good, like checking in, like even out to disaster, checking on them, like what y'all are good, like what's up. But then I also have like my other, like I have multiple friend groups.
And that's fine.
And we all study but like you have different friend groups. Like my friend group of Nature and Nadia, we studied together, but we also hung out together, and like our friendship was very good. Like we was able to like remind each other of this. Like I'd be like, hey, we gotta go vote for like SGA today. They'll remember that. It was just very important. And then like to my other friends, like like I would consider them brothers, Chris and Jeremiah. Chris and Jeremiah are older than me, and so their wisdom is very important to me, I would say. Because Chris graduated my freshman year. So Chris graduated in 21 and Jeremiah graduated from pharmacy school in 23. So having both of them, they was just kind of able to like guide me. Like Chris graduated from biology school with a major in biology, and now he's at LSU Shreveport doing his PA program. So like I think they're all very just motivative and like give me different insights. Like I have so many different friends at Xavier, but having that support, like when I had my ups and my downs, just to know you had somebody there that was like a family outside of your family from home is very important to me, especially because I'm such a big community person, I think. And I think that just a lot of people struggled at Xavier because they didn't have a solid friend group. But when you have a solid friend group who you can study with and y'all can also hang out and stuff, it really makes a difference in how y'all excel at Xavier, I would say.
So so when it comes to, that's interesting. When you said people struggle because they didn't have community, I don't have a question, but I'm like, that's so interesting that
I guess the best example was like for me, freshman year, that first semester, like even though I was friends with Nicole and them, I did not go out. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go to community service. If it wasn't class, I didn't leave my dorm. So like for them, she was like, maybe you should try coming to community service. Maybe you should try going to like the events on the yard. And so like that was another reason I struggled the freshman year, because I'm such a social person, and not being social really was like messing with my mental, I would say. Like if I'm not motivated, I can't study. I can't be motivated because I'm not excited about it. I don't have that job about it. So it was just like getting out there on that y'all, like just engaging with the community, because there's so many good people at Xavier. You just have to find them and meet them and just interact. So I think that having a good group is important for excelling in life in general.
Yeah, no, not just at Xavier, and not just, well, definitely when it comes to your purpose. But I think that's a blessing because a lot of people don't have communities that push them towards their purpose and their goal. And they don't have, yeah, that like you said, I think that's why people struggle a lot, because of that. But I'm gonna take you back to the beginning of your quote unquote testimony, because when I asked Diamond to be on here, she said, "I love a good testimony."
I love a good testimony.
So, which is so funny to me. I need to like incorporate that into my lexicon. I'm gonna start saying that. I love a good testimony. But anyway, we're gonna go all the way back to this humility part of your first semester, because I remember Diamond, who was the head of the class. I loved you. I loved you a lot. But my baby, she knew she was the smartest one there, okay? It was not a secret.
That was so bad. Y'all should have humbled me before.
It's not a secret. We tried. Diamond, don't act like we ain't try to tell you that, hey, life is real. And you was like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm still like that. I wouldn't say I'm still like not humble, but I'm still it's Diamond World. And,
Yes.
and I think that like when people say stuff, I'd be like, okay.
Okay, so let's talk about that journey of like being the top of your class, being legitimately, which you should be proud of, the smartest person at our school at that time, right? Like you really were. It is what it is, and there's no shade, no tea to anybody else. But that going from that, and like, what was the mental? What was like the physical? Was there a physical toll? Like, what? How did you get to the point where you were like, no, I need to chill and I need to ask for help?
So like, and this is completely when I first got my first day of class, because when I came to Xavier, I didn't get freshman classes. So when I came into Xavier, I had an associate's degree. And so I was really supposed to finish in 2 years, if we being quite honest. So freshman year, they put me into general chemistry 2, because I took GChem 1 online at GMC. and they put me in biodiversity. I had took biology 1 and 2, 10th grade year. I didn't have no notes. I didn't remember nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just lost. And they put me in biodiversity. And then I think I was in like a philosophy class and happened this freshman experience class. Anyways, yeah. When I went to class the first day of GChem, I walked up to the teacher and the first thing she said was, "Back it up 6 feet." I said, "Oh, I'm in a class full of upperclassmen. I'm the only freshman in here." And she just yelled at me and I'm embarrassed. And then
That's correct. Why did she yell at you?
because we was in a pandemic. And
When
so
did you start school?
I started fall 2020. So August 2020. So like
Okay.
we had my senior year got interrupted. So like we was online and everything. And so then we sat down in class. I didn't have no books because I didn't go to the bookstore yet. I didn't have a single book that I was supposed to have for that class. They flipping through this manual. I don't even know where the manual is. I've never seen this manual day in my life. She keeps saying what we did last semester. I just got here. And so that whole class, I was just sitting there confused. And they was running through this stuff and they was just running. I said, "Oh." I walked up to her and she was like, "You can go to office hours online. I'll do office hours online." I said, "Okay." Walked back to my dorm and I bawled my eyes out. I was just like, this cannot be my new life. Like, this cannot. And so I went to class the rest of the semester. I think they ended up changing it. No. Yeah, they ended up changing my class. So I ended up taking that class online. And so, yeah, so online, it didn't really help at all. Like being online did not help. I was still confused. I was a nervous freshman. And it was just very like, I didn't know how to ask for help because like I had just got here. I didn't know where the resources were. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know what office hours was. Like it was just very it was sad. I was struggling. I was struggling so bad. So I ended up getting a D in GChem, got C's in biodiversity, lab and lecture. I got a B in GChem lab, thankfully. And then but I had to retake GChem. So I took it again. And this time I was like, let me ask for some help. And so I ended up finding my friend Brian, and Brian went to Xavier. He majored in chemistry, but he transferred to Loyola. So Brian was my personal tutor, and I have to say, if I didn't have Brian, I would be in GChem to this day. And I don't know why.
Shout out to Brian.
General chemistry not even hard. I hadn't even seen anything yet because GChem is just math. It's just math and being able to do significant figures. And I just could not get it, like, for the life of me. But it just starting there and having Brian. So when I retook it, I think I got a C. Didn't even do no better for real. But it was just like having to start there and like realizing like you have to ask for help. But I didn't start going to office hours for real until sophomore year because pre-calculus wasn't hard for me when I took it that second semester. I think I did really good in there. But sophomore year, I took organic chemistry. And that was a 1.5 year journey of me being organic chemistry 1. I took it 3 times. The first time I took it, we was during Hurricane Ida. So I kind of don't think that was my fault, but it was because we took like the foundations of that class, we took online at home. And I was like, eh. And the final was online. So then I was just like, oh yeah, I just had to keep retaking that class. I eventually ended up passing GChem, organic chemistry with a B, thankfully. But it took me going to, thank you, because that took a lot. But it took me going to office hours. It took me asking for help. I used to be one of the people, if I don't know about 12 o'clock, I don't know it. I'm going to sleep. It's just that. It took me staying in the library to 3, 4 a.m. on a whiteboard, writing them things out, mechanisms out, going at it. Having friend group took a lot of coffee. And it just took me being humble and just being able to know like also took me talking to Miss QV in the pre-med office, and she was just like, "You do know you're not the only valedictorian here." I said, "I do. I realized that now." Like she really set me down. She was just like, "You're not the smartest person here. You're not."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I cried my eyes out after our meeting. I really did. But that meeting was something I need. That was an eye opening. She said, "If you keep going on this track, you will not be a doctor if you don't get it together." So I was just like, this is my goal. And if I keep not being humble, being prideful, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to make it where I want to be in life.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, it took a lot of tears. It took a lot of praying. It took a lot of like calling my family, being like, what do I do? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused. And also being that I am first generation, it's also very hard because it's like my mom doesn't know. Like, so it's just like, and my grandmother, she majored in business. So I was just like, this is very hard for me. Like, I don't know what to do and I need help, but I don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
This also goes back to having that support system because Nicole, for instance, she became a GChem tutor. And then she was like, they have an organic chemistry tutoring center upstairs, right? And so it took me like having to go there and use my resources. And I'm so thankful that Xavier has those free resources for those students to use. Like people don't realize how good the resource center is because they do tutoring, they do math, writing, organic chemistry, general chemistry, biology, and physics. Like you get all that for free. It's crazy. Most
Yeah.
people charge for that. And so it's like being able just to use those resources and just realizing that you and building relationships with professors. Because I built a relationship with my professor that last time I took organic chemistry, and it helped a lot. And she writes all my letter recommendations down. Like when I need one, she writes it because she's like, I seen how much you've grown checking this course because like you really tried, and that also helps like when you get into great like teachers look at your how much you came to office hours, how you interacted in
Yeah.
class, you came to class, that helps me think about a curve.
Yeah.
So like with me, it helped because like I got curved up to a B in organic chemistry just based off of they seeing how much I wanted it
Yeah.
and that drive that I had about it, but also my dedication to the subject and trying to get out of there because at Xavier, once you take a class 3 times, if you don't pass it, the third time you have to change your major.
Yeah.
So it just is a story. Like you just have to become humble, and I just had to learn.
And go ask for help. And
Yeah,
I'm glad that you had like people that started those conversations with you and were real with you, right? Like you had people in your back, not your back pocket, that had your back that were like, no, because Miss QV probably had that conversation once a week.
yeah, she did.
You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't the only person. That's why she probably was so straightforward with you, is because you weren't the only person she's had to have that conversation with. Um, and I have it with my students too. Like I had a student email me just recently and they were like, well, I got a 70 something on this test. Why did you change it to a 0? Because you didn't read the policy. You took the test too late, right? And having to have those conversations of like, you have 72 hours to turn in anything. You were past that 72 hours. What do you want me to do? And
Mhm.
having to say to students, if you want it, I'll help you, but you have to actually want
No.
and I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to purpose, we think it's just going to happen for us. And in your story, in your testimony, as you say it, the two things that I hear you talking about is like this development of grit and overcoming adversity, because you didn't have to have grit before.
Right.
Like in high school, you didn't have to. Things came easy for you there. Even at GMC was
Jesse was easy.
it was easy. I don't want to say that because I don't want, but it was, it was easy. So being at GMC and being at the school that you were at, you didn't have to have grit. You
Exactly.
didn't. So how, like, now that you're on the other side and so you're about to start graduate school, what does this grit help you accomplish? Like, what other things have you seen this grit help you with?
Well, for one, graduating, because like when I was talking to my advisor and Xavier, they was like, if you don't pass organic chemistry, you're not gonna graduate on time. And so I was like, okay, let me lock in. Cause I take organic chemistry too. I gotta take biochem. So I have to lock in and pass this class. And so
Mm-hmm.
it took that grit. Like I'm like, for one, I think there's nothing embarrassing about it for those who do not graduate on time. For me, it felt like it was going to be an embarrassment for me,
Mm-hmm.
me personally, because like I was just known for just excelling so well academically, and especially like my family likes to boast about my achievements a lot. They can be like, I know my Marquita daughter didn't graduate on time, and I didn't want to have to deal with that embarrassment.
Oh
And so
my
I was like, let
gosh.
me lock in and graduate on time and pass the class. But it also like that determination helped me like figure out some choices. Like for one, I did research for the last 2 years, and I was working in the lab, and she just kept my mentor, Dr. Hay, love her to death. She kept pushing me to do a PhD. She kept
Mm-hmm.
saying, I think you would love to do a PhD. I think you love to do a PhD. And in my mind, it sounded right. I had all the qualifications for a PhD. I had the GPA, I had the research experience, I had it all. But it also was like, I don't want to teach. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
teach. And I don't want to have to do it on thesis. And I just don't want a PhD, right? I
Yeah.
want the PhD, but I wanted a PhD, MD PhD.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew that I wanted to see patients and everything. And it took me saying, I don't want a PhD. I applied. I didn't get in. And I was like, thank God, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want a PhD. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. I want to go to med school. And so like it took me also having to think about, and I just learned this a few months ago, like leading up to graduation. Everybody can't be involved in your choices. Like you have to be able to think for yourself and be independent, because if I listen to everybody else, I would be stuck.
Yeah.
I would be unhappy, and I wouldn't like it, because if I was listening to my mentor, I would be in a PhD program right now, unhappy. At least I was getting paid a stipend, but unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
If I listen to my friends, I would be at Tulane right now. I hate New Orleans. I hate to admit it, but I do not like New Orleans. And
Why?
New Orleans is not my city. Nothing against the city. It's just not for me. And I've grown to realize like I do not like New Orleans. And that's why I was so adamant about making sure I got into another school outside of New Orleans. I applied to Tulane for safety, I guess, because, well, for one, I know they accept a lot of Xavier students, but it was just like familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends kept pushing. It was like, you should go to Tulane. Tulane's so prestigious. Tulane this, Tulane that. I'm like, I never even heard of Tulane until I got down here.
But Tulane is prestigious. Don't do us. But
Yeah,
okay.
it's prestigious in Louisiana.
Oh.
I don't think it's like a mind-blowing school. I don't have nothing against Tulane, but I just had to it took me out to shout out my friend Larry also. Because Larry also played a good role in where I'm at right now as far as graduate school. Because he was just like, sister, if you keep listening to people who are in Louisiana, you're gonna be stuck in Louisiana. Larry's from New Orleans. Larry then ventured out. He lives in Atlanta now. He's doing his master's of public health at Georgia State, and he works for the CDC. He was like, do not stay where you don't want to be. It took him
Mm-hmm.
doing it to say that. He was like, I learned my lesson. I did it. I branched out, and I love it. I wouldn't want to be in Louisiana right now. It's not where he wanted to line in life. And I was like, I do not want to be in Louisiana. I don't want a PhD. So I was just like, me and him sat down together, and we found different master's programs for me to apply to, and which ones had this and which one had that. He's actually one to tell me about PCOM. He's the one who told me I should apply to PCOM, because he applied to PCOM. He got into all 3 schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, and they had the pathway program, if you do good that first year, you get like an interview to the med school. So I was like, yeah, that's up my alley. Like, I want to go to med school. I want to be a
Mm-hmm.
doctor. And so it took me like making that rough decision, like, yeah, And it also took like I have to say I'm blessed to have family who was able to support me financially as well. And
Mm-hmm.
getting like out of New Orleans and back here and stuff in my new apartment. And I know like for a lot of people that's like a hard, like a finance is a hard, it's a barrier for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thankful to have that support that way, as well as like supporting my decision as well. Like my family, my mom was excited I was coming back to Georgia. My grandmother didn't like the idea that much, but I thought I wasn't staying here that long anyways. So I think it's just important to like make your own decisions and think about it independently. Because if you don't, then you're gonna be stuck with something you're unhappy doing.
So it's interesting because at the beginning of this, we were talking about like the importance of community and importance of having these people have your back. And then we shifted to you can't listen to everybody, right? So like how do you decipher, especially being like I feel like I got to that point later in life than you did, I'll be honest. But I definitely was like listening to the people you think you're supposed to listen to. Way later than I probably should have. But how did you make that decision of like, okay, I can't listen to everybody? And who do you know, like how do you know who to listen to, right? Because you had a mentor telling you you should go to a PhD program. And I remember that conversation too, when you were like, I'm applying to these programs. And that was the last time I was in New Orleans, I think. The city you don't like. And we were talking, I'm actually not in love with New Orleans either, but I think I could go back and live there for like a couple years. I don't think I would want to settle there and like have a family, if I'm being honest.
And see, that was my other mindset. I said, if I went to Tulane, I would fall in love with a New Orleans man. Now we got to get married. I live in New Orleans. I got kids in New Orleans. I said, oh my God, I got to get out of New Orleans. Like that went through my mind. I said, I'm going to fall in love
That's
with a New Orleans
real.
man. We're going to be stuck in New Orleans. I'm going to get married in New Orleans. We're going to have kids in New Orleans. I said, I got to get out of New Orleans.
That
I hate
is
it here.
so funny. That is so
Like
funny.
that
I don't hate New
really
Orleans,
went
but
through
I
my
wouldn't want to
mind.
raise a family there. I don't think I could
And
see
it's
myself.
nothing wrong with New Orleans, but they have a
Yeah,
lot of issues to address down there, and I don't want to be there while they're addressing it. And so
I
I was just
understand.
like, yeah, let me get out of New Orleans.
That is so funny. I'm gonna meet me a New Orleans man. That would be stuck in New Orleans and
Like
have New
that
Orleans
was real life.
kids.
I kept telling people that I said, I'm gonna get stuck here and I'm gonna be really unhappy.
That is
Like,
so funny. That is so
that was
funny.
what was going through. I was like, I cannot get stuck here.
I get it. I used to say I wasn't gonna die in Atlanta, but I didn't know that meant I was coming back to Louisiana so fast. But I was like, I can't die here. Cannot be my final resting place. Atlanta cannot be. So I get it, and I love Atlanta. Like I would move. I think I would move back to Atlanta, but I'm
I
in
think you
Louisiana right now.
should.
I'll let you know next time I'm there. I'm supposed to be coming. I'll say that off the podcast. But I'm coming again before the end of the year. Okay, so back to my original question. That is so funny. I'm a married New Orleans man. Now I'd be stuck in New Orleans. How did you know? Like, did an event happen where you were following somebody, the advice of someone, you were like, what the heck? Or like, just how do you know? Like, how do you know these are my community people that I can listen to? And these are the people that I need to just whatever, how do you know?
Well, I think like this was a late revelation. How do you say it? Revelation? Yeah, revelation.
Revelation.
So for me, it was like when I got my grad school acceptances and I got into Tulane and Clemson right off the bat. And then like after graduation, I got into Pecan. And like I mean, if anybody who knows me, they know my dream school to go is Meharry. I really want to be in Nashville. I love Nashville. I really want to like settle down there and everything. And so I was feeling I felt like I had to settle, but I'm not disappointed in my choice in settling.
Mm-hmm.
But I paid my deposit for Pecan. 2 days later, I got into Meharry. And so the only reason that I did not switch and go to Meharry is because I found out Meharry's master's program is online. And you don't have to be at the campus to do it at all. And I was like, I'm not an online learner. I'm really not. I do not learn well online. I need to be in person because I'm gonna use my resources. I'm gonna look something up.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
all their master's degrees are online now?
I'm not sure about all of them, but that Master's of Health Sciences is online. It's completely online.
Oh, okay.
Like it's been online since COVID, so it's
Oh,
completely.
they're probably not going back.
Yeah, they don't let it going back. I don't know if the MPH is online, but I know the Masters of Health Sciences is online. But and so then I was sitting there, I'm like, what ain't? And so then I was like, I'm gonna go to PCOM because for one, I paid $250 to be here. And it was non-refundable. For two, I don't want to be online. And then like for three, with my family, like my mom and them getting older, I kind of didn't want to be at home for a little bit because I haven't lived here in 4 years, and I have a little brother and sister. And I was like, I just feel like I'm missing so many milestones in their life. Like, his first two falling out, or like his first day of school. Like I felt like I was missing things like that. And I was just like, I kind of want to be here. Like I feel like I don't, it's okay to miss things, but for me, I feel like I was missing a lot. Like,
because he's so young.
Yeah, because he's about to be 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about to be 6, and I was just like, I feel like I'm missing him grow up, and I'm his big sister, and I just want to be there for that and stuff like that. And like my grandma, she lives like it's just her and my cousin now living alone that house, that big house, and I'm just like, I want to be there in case she needs me. Like I'm about to go over there Sunday and help her paint. Like just having things like that to do and stuff like that. And so for when it came to like being able to make decisions, I think that's what I learned like with grad school. It was like I had my friends Jeremiah and Chris on one shoulder, and they're like Tulane, Tulane, Tulane. And then I had Larry and my alter ego, I would say, on the other shoulder. And they're like, don't go to Tulane. And don't go to Tulane. And I'm just like, and it took us saying like it's because Larry is also friends with Jeremiah and Chris. They're all line brothers. So Larry was like, "You're listening to two people who are still in Louisiana tell you about life." I said, "Okay." That makes a lot.
Are they from New Orleans?
They're from Louisiana. Chris is from New Orleans. Jeremiah is from Baton Rouge.
Okay, yeah.
And so he was like,
And there's no shade, no tea, because I'm from
There's
Louisiana.
no
I'm
shade, no
back.
tea, but they're accustomed to Louisiana.
Right. And they're comfortable.
And they're comfortable. And I don't want to be comfortable in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like it's not comfortable living to me at all. Like I just feel like Louisiana has so many, not even because like when I was in Shreveport wasn't bad. Like when I was there that summer, it was just very hot. And then but like for me, New Orleans, just like it was to me, it's just like I flooded out my car. My car flooded out. And so and then like when it rains, it's like you have to cancel your whole day because it's gonna flood. On top of that, there's horrible crime there. I'm not saying there's not crime everywhere, but it's just like the crime in New Orleans is just so
I
bad.
think it's just more in your face.
Yeah, like
I don't think it's
visible.
Yeah, it's more visible. It's people don't have no shame in Louisiana. We are who we are.
They don't. They don't have no shame.
We don't have no shame in Louisiana. It's kind of I am who I am.
Yeah, I said that when I first moved there. I said people down here rob because they have to. They don't want to, they have to. It's like a means of living down there. I've seen people's car get stolen. I've seen my car gotten broken into a few times. I've gotten robbed before. So it was just like I didn't want to be there. I just
I get it.
Indiana. And so it took me like my mentor, like she helped me do all my grad school applications, and she was a good help, but it took her like she just kept pushing that PhD, and it just took me like let me not talk to you for a week so I can think of my own. Let me stop asking them their opinions, and let me stop asking for outside opinions. And I had to pray about it, and that was a good part of me, like having, because the whole last year I spent building a relationship with God. I said I needed to be more dependent on God. I understand how God navigates through life in my life. And so like I had to pray about it a lot and just think what I wanted to do, what was best for me. And so I said, let's go to PCOM. And I packed my apartment up. I asked my family for help. And I said I need a small loan to get me started. And let's go. I need to go. And I'm grateful that I've gotten to where I'm at now off of like their support. but it just took me making my own decisions. Like I had to stop listening to other people, and like the importance is like some people have the best of heart of you, but you have to also, you cannot compare yourself to others. You have to think about yourself first. Like ask yourself deep down, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I had to do for myself to end up making my decisions in life.
Yeah. So, because it's interesting, even when you were talking about the PhD program when we were at the restaurant, um, she took me to the restaurant, y'all. I didn't see no black people, so I was starting to get concerned. But then I saw some black people, and it was okay. But because y'all know if it ain't no black people, the food might not be good.
The food is always good.
But the food was good, and it was fine. All's well that ends well. But anyway, when you were even talking about the PhD program, I think I wasn't questioning, but I also was like, she told me she wanted to be a doctor, and like that's all I ever knew. So I think it's interesting that you even entertained it. But I do get that like it was someone you trusted, right? It was someone you worked with. It was someone who saw the talent because you are talented in many different areas, and they saw a talent that they want to call out.
And I can't say it was just them. Like for me, I love research. I love the research that I do. I like to do it. But I knew that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life, especially like on just that, like just straight out of research. That's why I was considering the MD PhD, because I'm like, I have the best of both worlds. But that's an extremely competitive degree to obtain and get into. At first, it's just a very hard program to get into. So I had to be like realistic with myself. MD first, go back to the PhD. But if I even end up doing that, because you gotta be motivated to do that.
I was about to say, I don't think you gonna.
And she was
better.
telling me, she was like, maybe do the PhD first and go to med school. I said, if I do that, I'm not going to med school.
Yeah, that's a lot of graduate school.
Yeah, so I was
Does
just
PCOM have an MD, PhD?
no. I don't know. They're an osteopathic school, so it's the DO program there.
Oh, okay. And I can ask you these personal questions after.
I'm not against the DO, but I know like the DO pathway is a little bit harder. It's like a few more tests and exams. It's a bit more expensive. So I'm still considering that, but I am gonna apply to the DO program at PCOM when it is time. I'm also gonna apply to those MD programs.
Okay. Sorry, back to this. So what I heard you saying as you were doing all this explaining, I'm sorry I got us on a tangent, is that it really went back to what you wanted. So like you would listen to people and you would take their opinion in, but it's also like ultimately, no, I want to be a doctor.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the time for me, I'm so open to people's opinions, because I'm not gonna lie, I am a kind of like a people's person. I am. And I be so open to people's opinions. But then I
A
have to
people
think,
pleaser? What do you mean by
yeah,
people's person? I don't know what that means.
people's pleaser. People's pleaser is the right term.
Okay.
So, like for me, I'm such a people's pleaser, and I like to hear people's opinions and hear what they have to say about it and stuff, like what do they think, and like get their like input. But I had to realize only I can make a decision in my life. Like at the end of the day, it comes from Diamond. So it was just like having to figure out, I guess, navigate how to tell people no was a big part of my like lesson, like learning how to say no more often was a big part of like my 2023 goals, and everything is saying no more often. Like I am very much a yes person, and it really started to like backfire in my face, because like people got over on me saying yes all the time. It was always yes, and it was never I'm not doing it 'cause I don't want to do it. And I had to realize that also. My friend Nicole actually gave me she told me it's the best. She said, you don't owe nobody no explanation. You don't have to tell people how you don't want to do it. You just say, no, I don't want to do it. There's no why. I don't want to. And it was as simple as that. And it was just like, for me with the PhD program, in the back of my mind, like, I'm applying to these programs. The applications are free. For one, they're free. And she wants me to apply to them, but I don't want to go do a PhD. So it was just like, it took a lot of control, I would say, self-control.
Of yourself. Okay, yeah.
Like to say, no, I'm not going to do a PhD. I never wanted to do a PhD. And I like research, but it's not my career path. And so, yeah, it took that. And I told my mentor that I said, I love doing research. I love working in your lab, but I do not want to do a PhD. And so I'm going to go get my master's and hopefully apply to med school the next cycle. And so you'll be surprised. People be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to end the episode, but that we need to talk about that. How we are we are expecting them to be upset, or we are expecting this I don't know, this negative reaction. And a lot of times people are just like, okay.
And I
And have
think
you learned?
oh, go ahead.
No, you can go.
I think a lot of it has to do with setting your own personal boundaries. And like people learn, like I think in this new age, people have learned to respect boundaries a lot more. And so it was like, for me, it was just like, I don't know, like growing up in like my household, you let's say like a C. A C is unacceptable. C's get degrees for one. I'm taking the class, not y'all. And so it just learned, like, I had to learn this to be like, okay, bye. You're not taking the class, so you can't say what to get. I can't control it. I'm trying my best I can. And so, yeah, you have to, like, a lot of people expect the worst outcome from people, but most people are just like, oh, okay. They really don't care. They just, okay, go on about your day.
And has that helped you be less of a people pleaser? Has that helped you in your nose?
Yes, because like even when I like told my friends I wasn't going to Tulane or stay in New Orleans, it was just like, we're so proud of you still. So go ahead. And I'm like, yeah. And I also like it took conversation like saying like I think we do best apart as a friend group. Like taking like us apart, we're so strong, but when we come together, we're a force to be reckoned with, and just know that we have to take that time apart from each other to grow as individuals and then come back together eventually. Like I would love to be able to down the street from Chris and Jeremiah again, but we do so good apart that it was just like, I need to go this place, he needs to go that place, and he's gonna go up there. And so like I think that did help me be a people pleaser as well, but also my like own personal growth.
That's good. So I'm gonna end this episode. Thank you for sharing your testimony with the listeners of the Purpose Podcast. Because I learned a lot just about like your connection to community and how you made it through and how you persevered and create this grit. Because my baby Diamond, she was so green, y'all. She was so green, but she's not green no more. So my last question is always, if people get nothing else from this episode, what would you like them to get?
I would say to just be able to navigate life on your own and be able to realize that you have your own purpose in life, and you can't let anybody else live through you. You have to do what's best for yourself. And I had to realize that the hard way. I can't go do what my family wants to do because they want me to do this, and I can't do my mentor want me to do that. This is your life. And I have to say this, like live it to the fullest and also make your own choices and just be confident in your choices, because eventually they'll play out, and sometimes they'll play in your favor, sometimes they won't. But like I like to say, the minor setback is set for the greatest comeback. So it's just like just kind of just doing what you have to do on your own time.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to thank you for being on this episode. What I heard was a story of someone who knew what they wanted to do and stuck with it, and create a path that's going to get them there eventually. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners.
Of course.
And yeah, so this is episode 3 of our collegiate collection on the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, featuring Dymaund Farmer. And I will see you in 2 weeks, where we'll go on to episode 4. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
And I've been shaking. Not many more twists and turns before I find the road. And I've been hoping for sunrise. I heard the dawn of hope can even light the way home. Just give me